Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, and this one is fueled by 100% turtle power. I'm Chris Daly, and I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Kevin Eastman and talk about the characters he helped co-create almost 40 years ago, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hey
Good morning,
there.
sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for making the time today. It's good to be here with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for making the time for us. We really appreciate it.
Cheers. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, my name's Chris Daly. I'm from Geek Network. I would just have a couple questions for you. I don't want to keep you too long.
Nope, no worries.
The first question I have is if you could go back and change the colors of the turtles' masks, the blue, the red, the orange, and the purple, would you pick different colors or, what colors would you go with if you could change them?
I wouldn't. And it was, for a couple of reasons. One, it was Peter's idea initially when we first did them. The first color painting I did of the turtles, they all had red bandanas because it made perfect sense to me, because it was a black and white comic book. You really identified with them by their weapons and by them speaking in attitude. So it never dawned on me that they should be any different color than just all red.
Yeah,
Kind of like a superhero team. And then
sure.
when we started developing the cartoon and the toys, both were like, well, can we come up with a way to tell them apart more easily, just visually? And Pete suggested, well, let's do different colored bandanas. And I felt that Michelangelo orange, very silly, kind of a light happy color, made sense. Royal blue, kind of a samurai regal color, made sense for Leonardo as a samurai. Keeping Raphael as our raging red, bad guy, and then Donatello with the purple was perfect for the bow staff, more of a techno monk sort of feel. So I felt the thought behind them was perfect, and I really didn't think it made sense to do them any other different way. Never rethought it. Later, when we did Slash, we made him with a black bandana, and then many years later, when we added Genico, it was a yellow bandana. But it was no, the original ones worked for me just well.
Perfect. That's awesome. So, I've read our different articles and different interviews that you've been in where you said you've had the idea for the Last Ronin and how it was going to play out, all the way back at the beginning. When you finally got to the point where you were putting it together and you got to the end of the story where it actually happened, what were you feeling when you finally got to get that story out and how it played out?
It was a perfect. The timing was perfect. It made the most sense. When Peter and I had the original idea back in 1987, we just finished kind of a fairly sizable story arc, issues 1 through 11 plus the micro series, and we were thinking, well, where do we go from here? And we said, well, we have our beginning, we have our foundation, our universe. Let's look at the final story, and we'll use that as a lighthouse to navigate towards and guide us along the way. And the intention originally was to do it as a large graphic novel, as quote unquote the final story set in 30 years in the future. That was the same year, 1987, is when we started working on the toys, the cartoons, and everything. So a year passed, 2 years passed, 10 years passed. It just never happened for a wide variety of reasons. And fast forward to approaching issue 100 with the IDW Turtle universe with Tom Waltz. We were looking of post issue 100, where do we go from here? And I said, there's just not a better time to dust off that original story, adapt it, extend it a bit more into the future. Because it was, by the time we decided I pulled out of my archives, I keep everything and adapted. It already was 31 years. It was 1 year past it was originally set.
Oh, wow.
It was set in 2017, back when we thought of it in 1987. So in 2018, dusted off, looked at it. I spent probably about 6 months figuring out how I would adapt all the bits and all the things that we originally wrote, and I would work, update things and carry it on. And then Tom and I then used that as the foundation to become the Last Ronin. So it was just a perfect time for a story like that to happen, and it was quite an intense, emotional. It was a tough one, but it had to be done. And if it was going to be done, I wanted to be the one to do it, to represent, both Peter and I as the final story, if you will, the final story to be crafted the way I think it should have been done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've been writing these guys and drawing these guys for 30 years, when you're finally telling you know, the end of the story without giving too much of a spoiler for those who haven't read Last Ronin. And if you haven't, what the heck are you waiting for? It's an amazing story. You know, I could definitely, you know, you could tell it's got to be a little bit emotional, you know, telling the final story of these characters that, you know, are your children essentially.
Yep. Yeah, and it was actually yeah, it was an intense journey. And I guess one of the things that um surprised even me most of all was just the how it was received. You know, it was you know, we approached it as like, well, this is a really good story. This is what, you know, Tom and I want to tell, and this is this, and we, you know, we hoped it at least sell as much as the current ongoing Turtle series was selling at the time, which has always been pretty solid, thanks to our awesome fans. But it just hit in that spot, and it worked for so many fans at so many levels. All the original fans that probably hadn't seen a Turtle comic since the earliest days, or the ones that have been following the IDW series, and then people just that, you know, what's going on with this Last Ronin thing, that have never heard of that, you know, really, that it just was again, this, I use this perfect storm concept a lot. It was just really just that, just wow. And what a treat. And it's great to be working on the sequel to that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And you know, with the Last Ronin, you know, with again, without giving too much of a spoiler, I think the one you picked was the perfect turtle. I think there's been a lot of different, you know, debates as to, you know, why it should have been this one or why it should have been this one, but I think it makes perfect sense. So it was a great idea.
Thank you. No, that was never a second choice for me. As
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it was like that was the one, and from the beginning, I was like, yep, that's that, and that's why.
For sure. All right, so with the introduction of, you know, the new movie Mutant Mayhem, you know, a whole new generation of kids are now being introduced to the Turtles for the very first time. I know, you know, my youngest daughter, who's now super huge into the Turtles because of Mutant Mayhem, she's going back and watching everything Turtles related now, so she's
Wow.
very excited. Um, you know, back 30 years ago, did you and Peter ever imagine the longevity that the Turtles would have? You know, because, you know, every few years we've got brand new generation of kids getting introduced to Turtles and it seems like it's going to be there for quite a long time. Did you guys ever imagine it would be anything close to this?
Not in even our wildest dreams did we imagine. In fact, you know, that's when you look at the construct of the first issue, was a 40-page beginning, middle, and end, because we never thought there'd be a second issue.
Sure.
The fact that we were able to, um, um, thanks to the fans supporting and wanting, we were able to do the second issue and continue to build that audience. And it was always what a great time, what a great bunch of characters, what a great ride. We're so lucky to be doing it. It could, you know, if it dies next year, we'll move on to the next idea, the next character. And that, you can almost take that attitude towards every new genre or area of entertainment, I guess, that we went into with the cartoon series. Well, you know, the TV series, sometimes they last a season, sometimes 4 seasons. You never know.
Yeah.
And the same with the toys. Well, it could be hot this year, next year it's in the discount bin. So it was always, the end seemed nigh. You know, it's just, you know, well, but again, no complaints. What an incredible ride. If it ends next year, well, that was fantastic. And to think that because of fans, which I always say, being one of them, I decide what I want to read and what I don't want to read, what I think is cool and what's not, no matter what age you are. And so, yeah, man, it's like if they keep finding something in it, and that's just, you know, I use the word humbling, because it is quite like, wow, I can't believe that, you know, coming up on 40 years. Next year, 2024, is the 40th anniversary, and I still get to do this for a living. It's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And actually, next year I'll turn 40, and I've been a fan since I was a kid. So, you know, just being able to meet with you today has been it's been an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Absolute pleasure.
I really enjoy having the time to meet with you, and hopefully, you know, sometime we can meet again and have a big chat in the future.
Yep. No, we love doing these. It's something, you know, reaching out to the fan base, people with podcasts and small broadcasts, or just, you know, it's important to us because you know, you're our support team, and we appreciate you very much. And this is fun stuff. So we try to do it. So yeah, by all means, keep your eyes out for. I know they put out notices of, hey, we're going to do another couple press days, and we'll get to chat again, talk about more stuff.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to you about all sorts of things, including the new sequel series for Ronin. So, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the
Absolutely.
time for me today.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Have a good weekend.
You as well. Thank you, sir.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Bye.
Cowabunga. Woo!
I want to thank Kevin for taking the time to talk to me. And if you want to stay up to date on everything coming from him, make sure you check out his website at fan.kevineastmanstudios.com. And to make sure you keep up to date with everything coming from Geek Network, make sure you check out our website at geek-network.com. We're at GeeksAZ on Twitter and Instagram, Geek Network on Facebook. IMCD is Weird on Instagram. The music from the show is by Polygon Horizon. Make sure you check them out on Bandcamp. They're a great band. The logos for the show were done by my friends Chris Chandler and Mike Belcher. Make sure you check them out on social media. And if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends. Word of mouth is our friend. And remember, kids, to embrace the things that fuel your weird and always geek responsibly.